Okay, Attorney Matthews, I have here Angie Melendez, and she has sustained some serious injuries. And where are those injuries at? Why don't you tell me?
Well, it's my neck. I had my neck fused back in 2012 because it had fractured and then broke.
Okay.
Everything had been going great. I got my right elbow replaced just a few months ago, and I started having problems. I thought it was the elbow replacement. My bone and joint doctor immediately said, "Honey, that's not your elbow. Let me see what your neck's doing, because that's neck pain." So he took an x-ray of my neck and immediately came back and told me, "Honey, you need to see this." The entire cage slipped, and my doctor looked at me, my bone and joint guy, and he said, "Have you fallen recently?" And I promised him, I said, "No, not recently. The last fall I had was this past November when I fell in my bathroom, bouncing my head off 3 different points, and evidently in the meantime, breaking the screws out of where they were held with the cage in my throat, which is why you can see my throat swollen out the hole."
Right, I can see that.
He said that it came from me falling. He sent me to a neurosurgeon. She confirmed that it was from a fall. The only fall I had was in my bathroom last November when the first hip transplant failed on me, and my doctor had to replace it. But I went to ER at DeKalb on North Decatur Road at Emory DeKalb Hospital.
Okay.
They never x-rayed or even addressed my neck when I went in with the hip. They concentrated on the hip. I kept telling them, I fell, I hit my head is killing me. And the doctor looked at me and he said, "Well, you've got a big old knot on the back of your head and one on the side of your head over here. Just put ice on it, you'll be fine." And I kept telling them, "I have hardware in my neck. I need for you to check it. I really wrenched my neck when I hit my head." Nobody would address it. My son
Who was with you? Who was in there when you were telling him this? Were there other nurses or doctors?
Yes, there were. There were other nurses in there.
Okay.
And the doctor's name, I think, was Dr. Wu or something like that. But when my son arrived at the hospital, they were just getting ready to anesthetize me and put the hip back into place. My son had said, "My mom has hardware in her neck. Is her neck okay?" And the doctor looked at my son, Gary James Barwick, and without skipping a beat, he said, "Well, you know, your mother's old, pain happens, she'll get over it." And my son was like, "But is my mom's hardware okay? She fell in her bathroom." And they said, "Oh, she's fine, everything looks okay." But they never x-rayed it. There were no x-rays. Even my own bone and joint doctor said to me, "Didn't they x-ray your neck and your head that night?" I said, "No, they did not." And he said, "Why did they not x-ray your head and your neck?" I said, "I don't know. They just told me I was old, pain happens, get over it."
What?
And that was what they told me. So now I'm waiting on Emory to get me in for vocal cord testing to make sure that the injury did not paralyze any of my vocal cords, which I don't think it has. But the problem still lies. The cage has slipped forward in my neck. The screws are out. I have to keep this on until surgery, December 13th, when she's gonna have to go in and do complete and total revision, and then she's going to have to fuse from C5 to 6, 6 to 7, and then down towards 7 to 8, which means all the way to the base of my neck, because that ended up sustaining injury, and I believe she said fractures due to the cage moving, which would more than likely be, like even the surgeon said, from a fall.
So, in your opinion and talking with others, the negligence is on whose part?
On Emory DeKalb Hospital on North Decatur Road on the Emory Hospital campus. It used to be DeKalb Hospital, then Emory took it over. Emory took it over and all of the care has dropped. Before, they would have x-rayed my neck and my head to see if I had a concussion, which, by the way, it turns out I did have a concussion. But they never addressed that. It was found afterwards.
And as a result of their negligence, what's some of the pain that you've been experiencing?
I can't even give you a number on it. It's insane. You know, I have to keep this collar on just to keep the pain down. If this collar comes off or I move my head in the wrong way, we're talking pain scale 1 to 10. That's what they give you?
Yeah.
I'm beyond a 10 every day. Every single day. And I'm not in pain management. And I'm not going to go to pain management because of what happened to me with Dr. Opanuga. And I'm not going through the abuse anymore with that.
Okay.
So I'm having to deal with this pain on my own.
Okay.
And it's not working out very well.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to mention that that I might have left out about this, about the doctor? Okay, you mentioned that you on several occasions you told him about
my neck.
Your
Yes,
neck.
I was worried about it. I already knew the hip implant failed. So, and Dr. Hovey, my bone and joint guy, the minute my son called and said that I was in the hospital, he personally called from his cell phone while he was out to dinner with his wife that night. He personally called to check on me.
Now, let me ask you this question. When you told him, when he found out of the injuries that happened, did he contact you and say anything?
I saw Dr. Hovey immediately after that. It happened on a Friday. So I was
and what's the date that this all occurred?
Oh, it was, I had my hip replacement done in the end of October. It was 17 days later, so that
This
would
last
make
year.
it, yeah, last year.
Right.
That would make it about the first week of November, and I had to go in and have emergency surgery done to pull out the failed implant and put a much different one in, because my surgeon did not realize that the implant would have failed.
Right.
So this isn't on my bone and joint guy. This is on the hospital. They never checked it. If they had checked it, my bone and joint guy, even though he doesn't do necks, would have had my neck in a brace back then, and it never would have gotten like this.
Right. Okay.
I would have already had it taken care of, and my bone and joint guy would have already had me into a neurosurgeon, a spinal specialist, to see if anything had fractured or broken. Because my bone and joint guy, Dr. Maurice Hovey, is absolutely wonderful. And I trust him with my life. The man is amazing. He's down to earth and he really cares. And he's very concerned about my neck.
Right.
He won't even replace my shoulder now because I need to have this addressed. So even just having this, it's now holding me off an entire year on having a screwed up shoulder completely replaced.
Right, because of
my neck.
because of this situation.
Yep, and I'm not doing occupational therapy for my arm to learn how to use it yet.
Right.
Because I have to have my neck fixed. I can't do anything.
Okay.
I can't do therapy. I can't do another surgery. Nothing. He can't even inject me in